Hello and welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers.
I am Bajo.
I am Junglist.
Well, he may be one of the most successful filmmakers of all time, but can Steven Spielberg make the transition to games? Development, that is. His family-friendly Boom Blox gets chickened.
It's from the makers of Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts, and now The World Ends With You aims to take action role-playing games to a whole new level.
We'll be meeting some of Australia's top e-sportsmen. They've got the skills to take on the world, but they're largely ignored here at home. We look at the state of Australian esports.
And we chart the history of one of the most useless gaming peripherals ever invented, the Nintendo Power Glove.
But first, can you guess the game for this week? Here's a clue for you, Jung. It's not chess. News time! Go, 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 go! It's that way.
Good game!
Big news this week for the developers of BioShock, 2K Boston and 2K Australia, who have just signed a deal with movie powerhouse Universal Pictures that will see their undersea adventure hit the silver screen. The film's production is reported to be led by Pirates of the Caribbean director Gore Verbinski, who has revealed that BioShock's Art Deco architecture and the unique character designs of the game's Big Daddies was what attracted him to the project. Meanwhile, John Logan, the screenwriter of Gladiator, The Aviator, and the recent Sweeney Todd, is in negotiations to pen the film's script. All other details of the film's production are still under wraps, and as yet there's no release date. The popular myth that violent video games encourage violent behavior in children has been challenged by two Harvard University psychologists. According to the research of husband and wife team, Drs. Lawrence Kuttner and Cheryl Olson, video game play is a marker of social confidence in children, and that kids that play games in moderation are actually much more well-balanced than those who don't. The study of 1,300 children also found that while children who played excessive amounts of adults-only games were more likely to get into trouble, the real concern was children that played no games at all, who were the group most at risk of violent behavior. Dr. Kuttner and Olson's ultimate conclusion was that there is no evidence that video game violence turns children into future criminals.
And now from a company that's built their success on a proven formula comes one of the most original games we've seen in a while. Brimming with substance, bursting with style, and sporting an original combat system, Square Enix's new romp, The World Ends With You, has it all.
You wake up on the streets of Tokyo's trendiest suburb, Shibuya. A message on your phone says you've got 60 minutes to make it to the 10-4 building or face erasure. Your name is Neku, and you've just started day one of the Reaper's Game, a week-long ordeal in which you'll fight the very negativity outside and inside yourself.
To say Neku has problems socializing is an understatement. In fact, he's bordering on emo.
I don't get people. Never have, never will.
But the Reaper's games can't be played by yourself, so out of necessity, a pact is formed with optimistic fashion designer Shiki. Together, you'll be wielding such powerful abilities as force fields, pyrokinesis, death beams, and teddy bears.
These powers will come from different pins you can collect throughout the game, in addition to your main player pin that lets you sense nearby enemies. We've come a long way from Final Fantasy, and you can see the invisible paths of enemies now. Instead of changing into your fire resistance armor for a volcano level, you'll pay attention to Shibuya's latest fashion trends and dress accordingly.
Gear can have a wide variety of abilities, such as a sweater that stops Shiki nagging so much, shoes which make you impervious to knockdown, and glasses that let you see how long the fight has gone on for. But mainly wearing the right styles will give you an attack bonus.
Your pins will level up along with you and eventually evolve into new pins. As a reward for taking a break, your pins can level up while your DS is off, and they'll gain extra experience for how many Wi-Fi devices your DS comes into contact with. This is in addition to the multiplayer features where you can play mini-games and trade pins Pokemon style with your friends.
In combat, different pins require different actions from the stylus. You can telekinesis obstacles by slashing them towards your enemy, a lightning shield can be gained by drawing a circle, or simply tapping an enemy can bring down lightning on them. Seems simple enough, but that's just the bottom screen.
Combat is designed to force you to coordinate both screens at once. For starters, both characters share the same health bar, and while Neku is controlled with the stylus on the bottom screen, Shiki is controlled on top with either the directional buttons or the A, B, X, Y buttons, making it perfect for right or left-handers.
By alternating your attack from the top and the bottom screen, you gain attack power. And there's a certain combo that changes every time, and if you pull it down from the top screen, your characters do a super attack. This really tests your peripheral vision and multitasking abilities. The battles are also in real time, but you still have to think long and hard about how to approach some of the more difficult fights.
Combat is a big part of the game, but they've paced it well and broken it up with story, and there's plenty of opportunity to go clothes shopping before your next fight. It kind of felt like at certain points in the game it told you exactly what you needed to know, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it sort of walked the line really well between not leaving you in the dark, but keeping it really challenging.
Yeah, and that tells me they spent a lot of time properly playtesting and polishing the game. Few games achieve perfection in the basics of game design like this one does.
Not only is the difficulty curve perfect, but it's also flexible. At any time, you can stop commanding the top screen and the AI will take over. You can also change the difficulty mid-game, which means it adds a gambling element, which gives you more chance to get pins. You can also lower your level and chain together fights, and all of this affects the reward and how much you win.
The developers have stated that a top priority on the project was getting rid of conventional game presentation, and they've succeeded here with exaggerated perspectives and a blend of manga and graffiti art. It's extremely stylish, but it's not just easy on the eyes, it's easy on the ears as well.
Yeah, the music's original and it actually sounds like proper music. They've even managed to get a bit of bass in there. We recommend headphones for the full effect.
As focused as they were on breaking conventions, one or two did leak through. Square Enix has never been warm towards choice in their storylines. And while sometimes there is a semblance of choice, there's only really ever one way to go, one thing to do, and one way to do it. This would be totally cool because the story is strong enough to carry it. But a puzzle isn't really a puzzle if there's only one obvious thing to do, am I right?
For sure, Jung, and even though the translation is spot on, some may find the text a bit repetitive, especially when you die. But like you said, it doesn't really break the mood at all, and when the story's so good, you don't care.
I actually think we've found a game that women will excel at. I mean, peripheral vision, multitasking, they've actually got me caring about what kind of clothes I'm wearing.
Before you go out and get new wardrobe, Jung, you should probably wash the ones you have on now.
Yeah, final thoughts?
Well, a game like this is going to take a bit of persistence to get through the harder fights, and that's kind of expected with a new combat system. But the good news is, it's a totally new experience all around, and it's well worth it. I'm giving it 9 out of 10 rubber chickens.
The World Ends With You is more than just easy on the eyes and ears. Through clever storytelling, it delivers some complex ideas in a non-threatening and understandable way to all ages. It makes a statement about our attitudes towards life, and in a nutshell, Badge, it makes you feel good. I'm giving it 9 out of 10 as well.
Good game.
It's a well-known fact that more and more Australians are gaming. And just like any other sport, there are those who play for fun and relaxation, and then there are the serious players, the ones who put in many hours a day to practice. And for the exceptional few with the skills and determination, there's the opportunity to turn professional and get paid to play. Sydney Underground is a team of gamers who have just returned triumphant from China, having secured themselves a spot in the Championship Gaming Series.
Oh, there's nothing like it, eh? I mean, you're on stage, there's a crowd screaming and cheering, and there's pretty girls in the background and that. You got cameramen everywhere. There's one right in front of you. But it's a great experience, and there's nothing like it. It's intense. It really is intense.
Arguably, don't have the best players in Australia, but as a team, they're by far the best players in Australia together. When you put them on stage in front of a camera, they light up.
Top Gun, Ben, and the rest of the team from Sydney Underground will now be enjoying a healthy salary playing video games professionally. The only problem? They'll have to leave Australia to do it. So what are the major differences between Esport here and the rest of the world? Tony Truebridge manages one of Australia's few semi-professional gaming teams, Immunity.
Sometimes I wish that, I was living in the UK and that's where I started Team Immunity, or in the US, because it would be far easier to obtain sponsorship support, a larger pool of players to call upon. Obviously, in terms of marketing budgets, they also, with the large corporations, they do it based on population as well. And Australia just unfortunately doesn't have the population.
Australia's so isolated, it's hard to find world-class practice and get to the level they need to be to compete. They're starting to see competitions arise now. There's been a few in the past where actually prices are to fly together and play the big tournaments. Obviously, the internet standards is not up to that of Europe or other parts of Asia where they have fibre to the doors.
You feel like a superstar from doing this whole thing?
In Australia, not really. In Australia, you wear the jersey, you feel like you might get picked on or laughed at. behind your back anyway. But in Asia, definitely, I mean, they absolutely love it there. They go insane, and it's great. They're just literally lines of people just asking for photos and autographs and things like that. So maybe because they haven't seen anybody that looks like me before, but we'll just say it's because of the games.
Charlie Brown has been involved in gaming for many years. His company has purchased the rights to the Australian leg of the World Cyber Games, the largest global esports event.
In terms of esports, I think what we've seen mainly is it come from a sort of an amateurish organised event or community to more of a professionally run community. And I think moving ahead, for esports to grow in Australia, we have to look at what we've done in the past, but at the same time we have to move forward so that esports can become almost like a business. If we build the community locally, if we build it up and we create something that the local players can be proud of, the best people may not play here, but I think they'll always come back and support it.
So what about our local esports scene?
5 minutes for the blue team to get up here to this big capture point.
Spear Dave is a shoutcaster, a kind of commentator for GameStop, a voluntary organisation that broadcasts commentary of most of Australia's top matches over the internet. How long would a typical competitive gamer play every day?
Depends on the person and the individual, whether you are actually playing professionally or if you're just playing competitively. If you've got a day job, then you're restricted by the hours outside of it. On a good day, I'll spend 6 to 8 hours after I get home from work between shoutcasting and playing my own matches.
Do you have any sense of whether the numbers of gamers are increasing or decreasing?
The number of gamers is definitely on the increase, and the tournaments are getting bigger and better and more money being offered. So there's more incentive to play, more games coming out, more people playing games.
For an aspiring esportsman out there, what should they do if they want to play at this level?
The first thing, obviously, is to work up to a skill level where you can compete. And Counter-Strike-wise, or the team games, Forza and stuff. Just the guys will help you out. If you get to jump online, the better players in Australia are fairly open to helping the up-and-coming players. So, and get out to the events, become known, come to the scouting events, talk to me, introduce yourself. I'm always happy to meet new people.
We've seen that a number of new, fresh people coming in at 16, 17 years old, they're not only hungry, but they're also pretty good at what they do. And the guys, I'm not saying older guys, but the 25 plus people are becoming more fostering of getting this young talent on board. At the end of the day, if we've got no one new coming on board and getting involved, the whole esport thing's going to die.
One such player is Death Dog. He's 18, but back when he was 14, he was handing me a whole lot of pain online. He now plays for one of our top teams, Sequential.
I went through a lot of teams. A few of them were top tier, but mostly mid tier. Myself and Luke Havoc Payton, we were both left out of the CGS because I had my HSC and Luke was under the age limit. So Sequential saw 2 lone players and picked them both up. For people who want to make an entry into the top tier teams, it's very hard for them to do it. There's absolutely no chance I could live off what I win through games, but it's just a hobby. I think my uni is more important to me in my life, but gaming takes up more time than uni does at the moment. When I finish uni, I'll probably look at the CGS. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but if it doesn't happen, I don't mind. I'll probably go and seek out full-time work.
So what are the big issues facing Aussie Esport today?
Obviously, the media focus in Australia is not on esports. Corporate Australia is a bit lacklustre to support, obviously, a growing sport. I think a lot of it is raising awareness. Actually, people beginning to realise that Australia is capable of matching with the best players in the world.
It's definitely picking up, and we're hoping one day, maybe in the next 2 to 5 years, that we'll start getting a bit closer to our bigger brothers.
I'd love to see everyone walking around with Australian flags draped around their shoulders on their way off to play Halo 3 or whatever game it is at the time.
Ever thought of going pro, Joe?
Nah, not really. I mean, I like to play competitively, but the guys at that level, their skill is insane,
It's true, you have to be the best of the best, and I could never afford to take the time off to get to that level. Plus, the pro trog scene is so commercial.
Hey, why don't we host our own ladder, just for kicks? We can record some of the matches, people get some esports action, maybe show some good moves on the show.
That's a great idea. What are you thinking, Desperate Housewives?
Whoa, no, only the hardcore play that.
Trog?
Such a cliche nowadays, isn't it?
Well, what about Halo 3?
People still play Halo?
Of course. What do you mean?
Well, I just figured Call of Duty 4 was out.
Very well, sir. COD 4 it is. Check the website and follow the link to the COD 4 tournament. We only have room for 8 teams, and one of those is going to be Team Good Game.
Sounds good. The winners will get some Good Game t-shirts as well as your team getting on the show. Now on to Office Wars. The votes are in, and the name of the company will be WaggleMax, and they make technical gadgets. Now we need you to hop on the forums and vote for which skills and statistics you'll need to level up in the game.
This week, we want your ideas on what you can actually do to suck up to your boss as you climb the corporate ladder. So get on the forums and cast your vote. But coming up now, Gamer Tonight with Richard Fargus.
Video games aren't just for boys. It is now estimated that over 40% of gamers are female, be it casual, hardcore, or pro. I'm now joined by Amber Jamin. She's a high-ranking competitive gamer. Amber, welcome to Gamer Tonight.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So, what's it like being a girl gamer?
It's great! Though I wish guys wouldn't underestimate us all the time.
Hey, just so you know, I don't hold back. Not even for girls, okay? Show me your moves.
La 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 la.
Falco! Punch! This game's winner is Captain Falcon.
Ugh, why do they play as Peach?
Okay, so why do you think guys don't like playing against you?
I think it's partly the fear of losing to a girl.
I was just going easy on you, right?
You know, that's really funny. Because so was I.
Yeah, I can imagine certain guys trying to avoid playing girls for that reason.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, how about we play a round of DS?
Oh, I would, but, mine's out of batteries.
That's cool. I brought a charger.
Actually, I lost it. Weirdest thing.
Then, what's that on the other side of your desk?
Oh, that's, it's a Game & Watch.
Good game.
In the history of harebrained game peripheral ideas, there's one that's so bad, it's almost good. It's the Power Glove.
Power Glove.
Released in 1989 for the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Power Glove was the earliest motion control device for a home console. It worked by putting 3 interlinked sensors on top of your TV, putting on the plastic gaming gauntlet, and then strapping yourself in for the interactive ride of your life. Strapped in, ready to rock and roll. Or at least, that's what it claimed on the back of the box. You could use the glove's motion controls on any existing NES game, but there were also a few games that were designed specifically for the peripheral, although only 2 of them ever made it into full-scale production. The first was this. It's Super Glove Ball. It played a bit like the arcade classic Breakout. You had to use your glove to bounce a ball off a wall of bricks, knocking them out as you went. Of course, Super Glove Ball wasn't all that much like Breakout, because Breakout was good and Super Glove Ball was rubbish. Apart from the fact that it was almost impossible to leave the first level, even if you did knock out all the bricks, it was the Power Glove controls that really let this game down. Trying to control with the Power Glove was imprecise to say the least. Just navigating your hand around the screen was a big achievement, and you'd often find yourself making mistakes purely because of the control system. Unfortunately, it was the same story for pretty much every game you tried to play with. Super Mario Bros. Was rendered unplayable, Metroid didn't work properly, and Zelda? Forget it. The second and only other specifically designed Power Glove game is one we've had on the show before, Bad Street Brawler. It put you in the yellow jumpsuit of Duke Davis, the world's coolest punk rock martial artist and self-confessed Bad Street Brawler. As Duke, you had to slap, kick and ear twist an army of circus midgets and wayward punk rockers for seemingly no reason at all. It may have been one of the first games in the side-scrolling beat-em-up genre, but there's no denying that Bad Street Brawler was awful. The combat, enemies and level design were unbearably repetitive, and not only that, but the game was almost impossible to control with the Power Glove. One of the biggest shames about Bad Street Brawler though, is that it was made right here in Australia by local developer Beam Software. Unsurprisingly, with the Power Glove's 2 flagship titles hitting rock bottom, and with the usefulness of the device itself in doubt, the Power Glove immediately fell on hard times. Okay. Questions, we can help. Many problems can be resolved by discussing them with our trained personnel. I've got a number here that I can call.
Yeah, hi, I'm having problems with my power glove. It's buzzing and nothing's happening and it's just not working in general. Yeah, I think it's cooking my hand. The glove also smells. You know, I followed the manual and I squeezed my fist and I pushed all the buttons. Who is this? Sorry about that.
Once the world had realised that the peripheral was an unsalvageable turkey, all the remaining Power Glove titles in development were promptly canned. Of course, that didn't stop the Power Glove from achieving a kind of cult notoriety, mostly thanks to this. In the same year that the Power Glove was released, Universal Pictures produced a 100-minute Nintendo commercial disguised as a movie, and that movie was called The Wizard.
So, you the wizard?
For your information, butthead, he's headed for the video championships in Los Angeles.
Starring child actor Fred Savage in what was probably his most memorable film role, as well as a young Christian Slater, The Wizard told the story of a video game master who could beat any game, even if he'd never seen it before. Kind of like me then. While The Wizard was mostly panned by the film critics of the day for its rampant product placement and its implausible story, it was actually a pretty fun kids movie, especially if you were a video game obsessed child of the 80s. And with one-liners like this,
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
The Wizard didn't just write itself into cheesy movie history, but it also left a Power Glove-shaped impression on the suggestible minds of its young audience, something that sustains the device's popularity to this very day. The Power Glove also has a pretty impressive legacy. The motion-sensitive controls that it pioneered are being used today in both Nintendo's Wii and the PlayStation 3's 6-axis controllers. Then again, both the Wii and the 6-axis actually work properly, so perhaps the Power Glove wasn't really that influential after all.
Good game.
Boom Blox for Nintendo Wii is unique.
Don't you mean Boom Box?
I'm not sure, actually. Let me just... Boom Blox. I don't think we've got that right yet. Let's just call it BB for short. BB is a unique puzzle game made by famous film director Steven Spielberg, and it's his first go at making a game.
Now, as Iron Man proved again last week, movie games are generally pretty rubbish. But when it comes to film directors making games, that must be a different story, because BB is actually quite a terrific little game.
Think Jenga meets cute square animals meets lasers, and you've got some sort of idea about what BB is all about.
Actually, that gives me no idea whatsoever, Badge. Perhaps we should explain it. Your objectives in BB range from getting all your blue gems to the ground, to removing wood from a stack without knocking off the top level, to reuniting square-shaped gorillas, and more.
All this is done by rotating a structure and throwing balls at certain angles to achieve your objective. Some puzzles have laser guns, pew pew pew, some require you to pull and swing blocks, and some need you to make chemical reactions happen by sticking two blocks together. It's a perfect game for the Wii. The Wiimote measures your momentum and speed and allows you to lock on before you do your throw. All these factors are imperative to finding the weak point in a structure and exploiting it.
It definitely makes good use of the Wii interface, Badge, and it's a pretty good thing because visually it's not the most impressive game. There's often more than one solution to a problem, but a lot of the solutions are pretty obvious and trial and error is going to be your friend here. After a couple of hours of waving the Wiimote around, your hand does get a little bit tired, so BB is good in short bursts.
I find puzzle games are best in short bursts anyway, Jung. There's a couple of game modes. Explore, which is a puzzle extravaganza fest, and it gets you used to the controls and how the puzzles work. And Adventure Mode, which has a series of stories, such as getting your cows to attack evil monkeys and destroy their castle. And I found all of these to be fun, Jung, but not really challenging.
I agree with you, Badge. I mean, most people will get through missions on their first go, 2 or 3 if you're going for the gold medal. If you do meet certain criteria, you can unlock challenge modes, which are more difficult. But if you're not the sort of person that likes to finish puzzles in the least amount of moves, you'll probably smoke through the single-player campaign in under 5 hours.
However, all is not lost because BB has a huge multiplayer component. You can face off against 3 of your friends or team up in 2-player co-op. There's hot potato as well.
Yeah, I found the lack of online here really disappointing. I mean, maybe there was too many calculations to make online multiplayer a realistic possibility.
This game is an unlock party. Every level unlocks another level or character that you can use in the Create a Level area. And this is a great part of this game. You can use all the features and tools in single player and multiplayer when you build your own levels.
But it is a time-consuming job. But if you are a fan of making 3D problems, or if you're a fan of blowing up cows, I think you'll get a kick out of this. Building with the Wiimote is a little fiddly, and after a while you'll start wishing for a mouse.
I'm with you there, John. There are training videos to give you an idea on how to use the level editor, but no training mode, so you're very much in the deep end. However, when you've built your level, you can actually send it to a Wii friend, and that's a good feature.
Yeah, I think we're going to see more and more of this badge. I mean, the ability to make your own level and then share it with other people, it's kind of the best thing you can do in a game. And devs are always talking about how they're excited to see what the fans are doing with their games.
I think sharing is going to be a huge part of user-generated content, Jung, in the future, especially with games like Esport on the horizon. But it's a shame that you couldn't upload this to a big server and people couldn't rate it. It's a shame they didn't really think out of the box with that one. Anyway, what are you giving it?
It's a blast. I'm giving it 8 out of 10 rubber chickens.
I actually liked it a lot more than I thought I would. I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10.
Good game.
So gamers, did you guess the game for this week?
You have to go all the way back to 1983. It was Archon, The Light and the Dark. One of the first games distributed by Electronic Arts. It was originally made for the Atari 8-bit computer and then later ported to other systems of the day.
Archon did look a lot like chess, but before an opposition's piece could be removed from the board, you had to battle mano a mano in a full-screen arcade mode. This meant that taking a square was uncertain, and it was even possible for both pieces to be eliminated in a double kill.
Archon spawned a sequel, and its influence can be seen in other games such as Star Control and Mortal Kombat. Archon is also the internal name for the Quality Assurance Department of Electronic Arts. Well, Badger, that's it for another week.
Next time, Lux meets some gamers who are using games to get over injury or serious illness.
Game piracy is blamed for spiraling costs and even the failure of some games. We assess the damage it's having on the games industry and what's being done to tackle the problem. It's our last show for a while, so make sure you tune in. And don't forget to contribute your ideas to Office Wars, the Good Game game. Till next time, Junglist out.
Bajo out.